Have you ever walked into a room full of people, felt the hum of 100 conversations floating in the air, and wished nothing more than to turn around and leave? It's not just discomfort, it's a subtle pain, a certainty that you don't fit in, even when surrounded by familiar faces. We're told that humans are social beings, right? That connection is essential. That human interaction is the fuel of happiness. So why does being around others sometimes feel like it's draining your soul? Perhaps it's the constant demand to perform, to smile, laugh, and keep the conversation flowing, even when your internal energy reserve is completely depleted. Or maybe it's the inevitable superficiality of conversations that barely scratch the surface while your mind dives into the depths. There's pressure to fit in, to adapt to a world that seems too chaotic, too noisy, too overwhelming. And then there's the judgment. The judgment. The curious looks when you decide to leave a gathering early. The subtle questions about whether you're okay, as if preferring your own company is some kind of red flag. People ask, why don't you like being around people, as if there's a single simple answer. But you know it's not that simple. It's not that you don't like people. It's the mismatch between your needs and the reality of modern social life. The truth is, there's a constellation of reasons why you feel this way. Each one is a reflection of your personality, your experiences, and your desires. These reasons aren't flaws, they're facets of who you are. Let's explore them not to justify or excuse your feelings, but to acknowledge and perhaps better understand them. 1. You're introverted. Isn't there a special kind of power in solitude? The stillness, the calm, the feeling that your mind can finally stretch out and wander freely. For you, solitude isn't synonymous with loneliness. It's liberation. It's not about avoiding people, but returning to yourself. As an introvert, your nature craves depth over quantity. You're not after fleeting emotions from superficial connections. You want the profound sense of understanding that comes from a real conversation. But how often do those kinds of conversations happen? Most social interactions seem designed to stay on the surface, jumping from topic to topic without diving into anything meaningful. And let's not even talk about the energy cost. For you, every social interaction is like a transaction where you give away fragments of your energy in exchange for what exactly? Small talk? Polite smiles? It's not that you don't value connection, you do. But when the balance doesn't add up, you start wondering if it's really worth it. Of course, the world isn't made for introverts. There's an implicit expectation that you should be extroverted, charismatic, the life of the party. And when you're not, people start wondering if something's wrong. They don't see the rich inner world you inhabit, the thoughts and dreams swirling inside you like galaxies. So you withdraw not out of fear or disdain, but out of a need to preserve your essence. Solitude isn't running away from the world, it's returning to who you are. And if that makes others see you as antisocial, so be it. You know the truth. But introspection has its dark side too. Sometimes that need for solitude can feel like a burden, as if you're giving up something that others enjoy easily. However, what many don't understand is that solitude isn't a void. It's a space full of possibilities. It's where you find answers, rediscover yourself, and build bridges toward those you truly want to connect with. It's an act of self-compassion, a way of telling the world, I need time for myself. 2. Trust issues. Trust is a fragile currency in relationships, and some have spent it too freely only to receive betrayal in return. If you've ever been hurt, a friend who turned their back on you, a partner who destroyed your trust, or even a family member who let you down, you know how hard it is to rebuild it. Having trust issues isn't being paranoid, it's a survival mechanism. Imagine opening your heart to someone, only for them to use your words against you. It's not just painful, it's disorienting. Suddenly, the rules of connection seem arbitrary, the ground beneath your feet unstable. Trust issues don't just make you distrust others, they make you doubt yourself, your ability to judge character, to distinguish friends from enemies. And so you withdraw not because you don't want to connect, but because you fear the cost of doing so. Every interaction feels like a gamble with too high a risk. The vulnerability required to trust someone again feels like reopening a wound that hasn't fully healed. It's not just fear of being hurt, it's fear of being hurt again. But trust issues don't just manifest in caution. They also make you more sensitive to warning signs. You notice details others overlook, a gaze that lingers too long, a tone of voice that doesn't match the words. While others ignore these signals, you register them, adding them to a mental list that determines how much of yourself you're willing to share. It's not that you've given up on people entirely. Deep down, you still long for connection, for the warmth of genuine understanding. But that desire is tempered by the lessons you've learned, the hard, painful lessons that taught you not everyone deserves access to your heart. Rebuilding trust is possible, but it's a slow and deliberate process. It starts with small steps, a kind word here, a shared laugh there. It's about finding those rare people who time and time again prove they're worth it. Until then, it's okay to keep your distance. It's okay to protect yourself. Trust isn't given, it's earned. And you have every right to demand that it be earned well. Besides, trust isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's the smallest moments that make the difference. A promise kept, attentive listening, a sincere gesture. Recognizing these details can help you identify who deserves your time and who doesn't. And though the process may be long, remember that every step you take toward trust is a step toward emotional freedom. 3. Spending time with the wrong people. Not all company is good company, and this might be the most underestimated reason why you avoid socializing. It's not that you don't want to be around people, you just don't want to be around those people, the ones who drain you, frustrate you, or leave you feeling worse than before. You know the type. The ones who dominate conversations, the ones who only complain, the emotional vampires who suck the life out of a room. Spending time with these kinds of people doesn't feel like socializing. It feels like emotional labor. Imagine sitting across from someone who monopolizes the conversation, talking endlessly about themselves without even asking how you are. Or worse, someone who disguises their criticisms as compliments, leaving you questioning their intentions and your own sanity. Who could blame you for avoiding interactions like these? And then there are the emotional vampires, those who flood every conversation with negativity, complaints, or drama. Over time, these experiences leave a mark. You start associating socializing with discomfort, awkward moments, or pure frustration. It's not that you don't like people, it's that you've had too many experiences with the wrong ones. So you choose solitude not as a rejection of others, but as an act of self-love. It's not about avoiding people, it's about avoiding unnecessary pain. 4. Low self-esteem. Sometimes the reluctance to be around others isn't about them, it's about you. It's that persistent voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, interesting enough, or worthy of their time. Of course, this isn't something you share with the world. On the outside, you might seem fine, even confident. But beneath the surface, there's a storm of doubts convincing you that every interaction is a minefield of judgment and rejection. You replay past conversations, dissecting every word, every expression, every perceived mistake. Did they think you were boring? Did they notice that awkward laugh? Did you say something stupid? These thoughts spiral out of control, and before you know it, the idea of socializing feels like stepping onto a stage without preparation or protection. The worst part is that this doubt becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you withdraw, the more disconnected you feel. And the more disconnected you feel, the harder it becomes to reconnect. It's a vicious cycle that keeps you trapped in a cage built by your own mind. But here's the truth. This isn't who you are. It's just a story you've told yourself so many times that it started to feel like reality. And freeing yourself from it begins with recognizing that the world is far less critical than your inner voice makes it seem. 5. Social anxiety. Have you ever felt your chest tighten and your hands start to sweat just thinking about walking into a room full of people? Social anxiety isn't just extreme shyness. It's a mental battlefield where every interaction feels like an impending disaster. Imagine this. You're invited to a gathering. You know the people are kind and the atmosphere is relaxed. Even so, your mind begins its relentless monologue. What if I say something wrong? What if I say nothing at all? Will they notice how uncomfortable I am? By the time you arrive, you're already exhausted from fighting against the catastrophic scenarios your mind has fabricated. Social anxiety makes even the simplest interactions feel like climbing Everest without a guide. Every smile feels forced, every silence deafening. You're hyper-aware of your body language, your tone of voice, even the angle at which you hold your drink. And when the night ends, you don't feel relief, just a mental autopsy of everything you could have done differently. It's not that you don't want to connect with people. You want to belong, to be part of the conversation, to feel included. Deep down, you even crave it. But the fear of being judged, misunderstood, or simply not measuring up makes the experience too overwhelming to bear. So you withdraw not by choice but out of self-preservation. For many, social anxiety stems from past experiences, moments of embarrassment, rejection, or humiliation that left a lasting scar. Those memories become triggers, resurfacing as intrusive thoughts and extreme sensitivity. While others might forget a minor slip-up, you replay it in your mind over and over, convinced it defines you. Over time, this avoidance becomes a paradox. The less you interact, the rustier your social skills become, and the more terrifying the idea of interacting feels. It's a cruel cycle that leaves you feeling isolated and misunderstood. But here's something deeper. The world isn't the merciless judge you imagine it to be. With patience and self-compassion, the chains of social anxiety can loosen, allowing you to find genuine connections. Overcoming social anxiety isn't easy, but it's possible. It starts with small steps, challenging your fears, practicing kindness toward yourself, and surrounding yourself with people who understand. It's about discovering that you're stronger than you think, that you can face discomfort and emerge more resilient on the other side. In the meantime, it's okay to move at your own pace, prioritizing your well-being over societal expectations. At the end of the day, your mental health is worth more than anyone's opinion. The complex truth behind solitude. At the heart of all these reasons lies an undeniable truth. Your desire to avoid people isn't a simple aversion. It's a mosaic of experiences, emotions, and perceptions. Whether it's the need for depth, the weight of intelligence, the wounds left by the wrong people, or the internal battles with self-esteem and anxiety, each reason tells a story. Your story. But solitude isn't inherently bad. It's the space where creativity flourishes, where introspection happens, where you reconnect with your true essence. The key lies in balance, finding the courage to step out into the world without losing yourself in it. So the next time someone questions your preference for solitude, remember, it's not about avoiding people, it's about honoring yourself. And in a world that constantly demands your attention, that is a silent act of rebellion. Life is full of contrasts, noise and silence, connection and solitude, chaos and calm. Sometimes, the world seems to demand that we're always available, always smiling, always on. But here's the truth. You don't need to fit into a mold that wasn't made for you. You don't need to exhaust yourself trying to be someone you're not. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's the space where you rediscover yourself, where you heal, where you build the foundation for a more authentic and meaningful life. If you've ever felt like you don't fit in, that you prefer your own company rather than forcing a connection, I want you to know this. It's okay. More than that, it's beautiful. Every moment you choose to spend with yourself is a declaration of love for your true self. And when you do decide to share your time with others, do it from a place of fullness, not obligation. Because at the end of the day, the quality of your connections, whether with yourself or with others, determines the quality of your life. Now, I invite you to reflect and take action. E1. Share your story. If this message resonated with you, tell me in the comments. Which of these reasons best describes how you feel? Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. 2. Tag someone special. If you know someone who also needs to be reminded of the value of solitude, or who faces similar challenges, tag them in the comments. Together, we can create a safe space where everyone feels understood. 3. Make a promise to yourself. Dedicate at least 10 minutes today to being completely alone without distractions. Turn off your phone, disconnect from the outside world, and just breathe. Notice how you feel afterward. Don't underestimate the power of your words and actions. By sharing your truth, you're not only freeing yourself, but also giving others permission to do the same. So go ahead, take this message and make it your own. Because in a world that never stops asking, learning to say no can be the bravest and most liberating thing you ever do. Thank you for accompanying me this far. Remember, honoring yourself isn't selfish. It's an act of love. See you in the comments.